do you guys think the viability of the company would be that offered a people a place where they belong, a place where you can do more than just make a living, you can build a life, a place where people meant something to each other, and a place where a company actually had a relationship with you where they wanted you to prosper? How many of you guys think a company like that with a message like that would have a real impact in today's marketplace? I'm here to talk to you tonight. I got better things to do than sit in Houston. And not being with you guys, I'm going to show you something my wife just sent me. And when I'm here, this is what I miss. Okay? That's my fat baby. He's sitting in his ring. And I show you guys this because that's why I do what I do. Because I want to leave him something. And when you look at someone else's kids, you're like, big deal. But that's my kid, and he means a lot to me. I drove over here today for a really simple reason. Because I think it's a really important company, and it's worth talking about. It's worth being a part of. I've been with it for over a decade. It's never let me down one time. And what we're about to do is what Apple Computer did for that technology, we're going to do for healthcare, and we're going to do for the home business world, and we're going to grow it up. And you guys are sitting in the second, third, or fourth city in the biggest country in the United States, and this is what we can muster up. Do you realize you're all walking millionaires in this city right now, and you're certainly going to be able to build an income where the only thing you're going to have to worry about, nothing. Wouldn't you like a life where you don't have to worry about the things that weigh you down? Yeah. All right? So that's what we're going to talk about. Now my trajectory is kind of weird. When I was 17, what do you do when you're broke the minute you turn 17 when your family's in trouble? What do? You join the Army. So that was me back then. In fact, all I ever wanted to do was be in the Army. Just a tad about me. That's all I was going to be an officer, go to college and all that, but it didn't work out. So I went in and I ended up in Iraq a couple years later, and I would have made it a career, but I was... The short, long story is I came out of a helicopter backwards with a pack on, and there was uneven ground, and my right foot hit the top of the ground, and as the helicopter, they just kind of come in like this and they take off, and I stepped out and there was just thin air, and I fell backwards about 6 or 7 feet with 100 pounds on my back, and all I remember was falling, and I remember thinking, this isn't something you hope for. I actually had that thought in my head, and when I hit the ground I heard a really loud pop and snap. And everybody's ever broken an ankle or something, you know, you hear that weird, sickening crack. And then my ankle, this ankle, was turned around backwards and underneath my pack, and my foot was twisted completely backwards. It was a 3rd degree open separation with like 20 bone chips and a break. But the worst news is the helicopter was still taking off, and I watched the strobe light go because we were taking out a SAM 11 radar site. We had to get dropped off like 10 kilometers away so they wouldn't hear us. And then you walk there and you do your thing, and then you walk to get extracted. And so we had to, are we going to get, do you get captured because no one's coming? What do you do? And all I could think of was a mattress with 2 car batteries. I will tell you everything! Right? No hooky. You know what I mean? Imagine. Like, I can walk! Right? So I ended up walking, and I put this picture up. That was an Iraqi T-72 we captured later, but that was my ankle. It was pretty much destroyed from the knee down. But what was weird is I had that kind of flexion, so I taped 100-mile-an-hour tape, which is duct tape around it, like a whole roll, and then I would just hit it with a morphine thread anytime I needed it in my ankle. I walked on it for like 7 or 8 weeks until after the ground war and after we were in these refugee camps and all this stuff. And then I was loading up radar reflective camouflage, and they're really heavy bags if you ever pack that stuff up. And I was walking like this to throw it in the back of a truck, and I hit another rock and my ankle snapped in half, and I looked down and my ankle was sideways. So I was like, that's interesting. And then I got evac'd, and I'm sitting at Walter Reed finally after a cache, and then Germany, and then back at Walter Reed. And I was in a special operations unit, and to have an active slot in special ops unit or Green Beret, whatever you call it, they told me, well, you're above 30% disabled in your left leg, which means you can never have an active duty slot in an SF unit. So I'm 21 years old. My life's dream was gone. So I packed up my car and went back to Michigan. And I showed up at college, and I walked into admissions 2 weeks before classes started, and there was a guy sitting in there, and he said, Sergeant Murphy, come in here. All I had was uniforms. I said, what are you doing? And I told him the story. And he said, okay. Pulled out a piece of paper, stamped it approved. He was the dean of admissions, and I looked on the wall. He had a 5th Special Forces Group plaque at his wall from Vietnam. And then he walked and got me in all the classes, which 2 weeks before classes started. It kind of changed my life. I took a degree in computer science, so I was a software information systems. I used to build software information systems. I would convert legacy mainframes into client-server networks. I ended up being a client server specialist in quality assurance, specializing in transporting data from legacy mainframe DB2 IMS CICS systems, transporting them across perhaps an Omni gateway to interface with an Oracle-based database system to present a client-server-based frontage and do it in a way that was meaningful, that was easy to use, easy to interface with. And I want you all to know that I absolutely, without any reservation, hated that more than my life. I went from playing softball 3 nights a week. I used to do competitive bodybuilding. And I really liked that, but you got to wear that little gear, you know, get up there. And we just called it the grape smuggler. I never quite got used to that. You know, it was horrifying. And I was a certified trainer, and I used to go to hockey games all the time up north and football games. I used to go to White Sox games and Chicago Bulls games. And here I am. I did everything they told me to do. And I'm working in this cubicle. I ended up at Steelcase. And I'm working 70 hours a week. I was going to the gym at 9 o'clock at night or at 4 o'clock in the morning, taking Thermadrine and all these supplements. And I think, this sucks, man. This sucks. Why did I even get the GI Bill? I would rather make 20 grand a year and work with my hands and be outside than sit here in this stupid suit for a company that doesn't even appreciate me and take another sensitivity seminar. And you can all tell I'm already 20 sensitive. So I want you guys to know that Nikken came into my life right about then. I was actually looking to go into politics. I ran a Republican campaign until I decided I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. They're both the exact same party because the donors are all the same. Little FYI. I used to do fundraising. The checks would go here, the checks would go there, and I got to know the backsides of the parties, which is why I got out of politics. I was really depressed, and then someone said to me, "Hey, take a look at Nikken." I said, no. Magnets, network marketing in Japan. Who's ever seen Fletch? 3 of my favorite topics. Utah, Provo, you know. I was like, great. Network marketing, magnets, and Japanese health. That sounds freaking awesome. That's like, can I put audio cassettes under people's windshield wipers? Could I sell books and tapes to people? Could I sign up in like 10 network marketings in 5 years and promise people that, could I cry at meetings? Could I cry and tell them, I want to do this for my children? Could I put all the new people in the front and then have everybody behind them clap the whole meeting? And then can I have people, let's try this. Let's have people stand up and say, you know, all I did was just drink the juice. My knees are better, my hair is better, my laundry's whiter, my car tire is cleaner, my hubcaps are better, my heels are softer, my diabetes is better. I don't have to wear underalls and lift, and it's unbelievable. My laundry's cleaner, my next door neighbor's dog likes me better. In fact, I want you to know that I just saw Dennis Rodman and the leader in North Korea sitting together watching basketball. That is because of the good-naturedness from drinking that juice. That happened because of me. So I'm just letting you all know. I caused that. And then here's the second part of the network marketing meeting. I signed up 3 days ago, and I've made $8.5 trillion. All I do. Who's ever been to these meetings? God. And they're all saying we're the hottest company with the greatest patent. How about wellness? You guys want to talk about wellness? Let's talk about wellness. Now, Nikken, I know it's really tough to explain to people. If you sleep better, you eat better, you breathe better, and you drink some clean, fresh water, you might be healthier. I love when medical people are like, I need to see the studies to validate that. I'm like, really? 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 You need to see it. You spent $300 grand at Johns Hopkins, and I got to write you a paper that air and water might benefit your patients. I need to see if this is efficacious. Yeah, God forbid, I walk in, I'm sleeping on a bed that King James slept on, the same technology. I've got a job I hate. I eat fast food 4 nights a week. I've been jumping jacks since 1906. I've got a stressed out relationship. I'm not right with God because I'm focused on making money all the time. And by the way, there's nothing better than having a job you hate. How many people here know somebody dating someone that they're always complaining about? He's so mean to me. Well, why don't you leave him? Because I love him. Who's got that? girlfriend or man friend, right? Right? Hey, what happens, guys, if you see some guy being mean to a girl in a parking lot, and then you go jump on the guy? What's the first thing that happens? Yeah. I love it when I'm telling people tonight about a multi-billion-dollar multinational home career, and you're like, well, I'm considering this. Hey, you've been working for 20 years, you're no closer to retirement than the day you started. You're working 60 hours a week, you've got a job that doesn't appreciate you, and you're somehow like reconnoitering here tonight. You got no plan B, Jack. You're falling out of a plane. You're going to be dead as a plate of fried chicken in 15 seconds. I am holding a parachute, so let's both just drop the act. You want to treat this casually tonight? Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. But I may be here to tell you that maybe I'm going to have an intervention. I'm really directing this tonight because I'd rather impact you and have you walk out impacted than sit here. I don't want to. That doesn't sound good either. I do not want you to walk out of here impacted. No one wants that to happen in a meeting. That's the reverse. I went to a meeting. I got impacted. I caused an impaction. And by the way, did you guys hear about Vital Balance, the new study that was released? Now that we're all taking it? How many of you guys have been taking osteogems for a while too? You lost all that weight, you know what? It turns out you were a big bone. I got time machine, it's falling off. My point is that wellness is not complex. It's easy. You sleep, you eat, you breathe, you drink, right? You know why wellness isn't taken more seriously? Because wellness is not about one thing. I got a car out there, it needs air in the tires and gas in the tank. It needs oil in the crankcase, which is all here. It has to have those things. Now, if I come sell you the world's greatest windshield wiper fluid, you don't have to turn it on and your windshield's better. If you spend all your money on wiper fluid and you forget to put gas in, what happens to your car? Right? Wellness is. Can you guys name any other companies that even have a total balanced wellness approach? Seriously, I'm honestly asking. So you get these companies out there in the wellness world, and by the way, wellness. If you're taking a product that cures all these things, then it's not wellness. You're doing sickness without a prescription. Words matter. But here's the selling point. God himself cried. One tear fell off. It landed on the back of an eagle's wing, but not a grown-up angel, one of those fat baby ones. And then it got thrown up in the air, and it landed on a cloud that Gabriel just happened to be strumming his harp. That, of course, it was the intonation, caused the drop to fall. It landed on a mountain. It fell down the mountain, rolled down a creek, got down to the bottom, and it hit a plant. And then the plant sprung up, and then 8 pygmies in a row walked and stepped, and the plant went between their feet. It did, and it just hit the leaves enough to where they flung up in the air, and then our company bought the rights to the leaf. But I want you to know that we also have a patented extraction process. And when you bottle it, it will cure almost everything. And so it started, okay, maybe you've got a nice little juice there. Maybe it makes you feel more energy. There's no problem. Look, folks, with most of our diets, okay, if you looked at a Flintstone chewable, you'd probably be healthier. You know why we're getting these big testimonials? Okay? If you got a wife that wears burlap bags around and she comes down with even a one high heel on, she's hotter. Right? So if you drink something, no matter what it is, and you put it in your body, you're probably going to feel 3% better because you only had one way to go, a lot of people. And it goes from, I had a little more energy to 6 months later when that's the only product. I drank it, and I can actually describe that. In fact, I'm like those kids. I looked at my steak the other day, and I saw Mary in the steak just from drinking that. Is that not how ridiculous these claims get? And that's what ends up happening, and it gets out of control. And then, by the way, it just so happens that you can access these products, but to get started, we recommend you buy 16 bottles of it. Did I just describe the whole business world? Yeah. That's what it is. And then they're around for 5 years. They have comp plans. I'll tell you about that in a minute. That are around for 3 to 5 years. And so you have this thing where you have this thing everybody needs, this career field, this way to work from home to earn an unlimited residual income. But it's got to be better than what Amway did in the 90s. And it's got to be better than what Juicy Juice is doing in 2000. What if a company could take the best of the stable companies of the old and put it together with the fast and furious of the new What if you could blend them to be fast and stable and actually offer people something that would last? What do you guys think would happen if somebody actually proved it right? Pretty amazing. So all of you are sitting here tonight at different phases of your life or your business. Some have been in Nikken for a while, some are new. What I'll ask you to do is drop the bags of whatever you have or haven't done at that door, because Nikken launched January 1st into the next wave of Nikken. Nikken Cubed is the next generation home business. You guys are now in Apple post iTunes. If you're gold and haven't done what you want to do, you need to drop your baggage at the door and be new. You need to get the fresh start tonight. If you're platinum or silver or diamond, or if you're new, this is a second chance for you to become as unequal as possible. You get the older you get in life, and I thank God and my faith for this because I'm a mess, that I always get the blank piece of paper every time I just do that, right? You always get the, how many second chances do you get? I'm getting up towards 7 times 77. I'll let you know how that goes when I get past that. All right. Having said that, it's nice to get a second chance in life, but you know, it's really hard to get a second chance in your professional life, isn't it? When you're 24, you take that first job you don't like. You know, here's another quick thing. One of the reasons so many people aren't happy is because wages have been declining. We're working harder for less. You know, you get a mortgage and a house payment. We're trying to live the way we've lived, but we're making less. Have you guys noticed that most people are just trying to keep their lifestyle? Do you guys really realize that most people today are humans keeping stuff? Wouldn't you like to start being humans being more? So from tonight when you walk out of here, the retreat stops. We're going to start taking ground. But to take ground first, you got to stop. We're going to dig a trench tonight and start going that direction with a really cool company. Because you know what awaits you if you get the second shot? You know what awaits you if you push past it? I was so bummed. It took me probably 10 years, and I'll spare you the long story after I got out of the Army, to get right from the things that happened overseas and a lot of stuff I don't like to get into. But I spent a lot of time wondering, why did all this stuff happen to me? And I allowed it to wreck my days. And it allowed it to wreck my nights. And I stole my joy because of some things. But I'm going to tell you, I pushed past it. And the way that God works for me is I never get what I ask for, I get what I need. And you know, intelligence comes from books, but wisdom comes from life experience. That's my family, for those who don't know. And that was the blessing that waited for me. That's my wife, Paige, and my sons, Cole and Kyler. He's 15. He gets his learner's permit next month. And it's crazy, man. Crazy. My baby, Kyler Patrick. And he's wearing a beautiful hat in that lower picture, which I think is fantastic. I just love him dearly. And here's the deal. My 15-year-old son, I don't get to be with him every day because I went through some tough times in life and got a divorce. Even to this day, I still hate saying it. It just drives me, what a failure on my part. However, once again, I got the blessing past it. I had to let that go. When Kyler was born, we were sitting in the hospital, and I took Cole down because she had to do the feeding, so we got the hook, you know, out of the room. So we went down to the little lounge at the hospital, and I said, you know, son, I don't want you to think that your brother gets more love from me than you do, because you were the first person to call me dad. I remember I was the first person to actually see you. I said, never forget that. I was the first one to see you, because your mom was busy, and I was looking. and so he said to me, Dad, that's stupid you even say that. I've seen you more, and I spend more time with you. Now, I get him, you know, a week here, most of the summer. I don't get all the time, but when I'm with him, my life stops. I'm with my son. I got him for 3 more years before he's in college. I'm with my son. My world stops. That's a choice that I make, because he's my baby, right? Can't give him everything, but I can give him everything I got. And he looked at me and said, Dad, I see you more than my friends see their dads that live with them every day because of what you do. And he said, with that company. He actually said that to me. It's my son. By the way, when he was 10, he drove home from a preview. And he was sitting in the back, and I said, son, I know you were bored tonight. He said, you know, Dad, that's a really fair way you guys work. And then he put his headset back on. So later I said, what do you mean? He goes, you only get promoted when other people do. You only get paid when they do. You don't get paid for signing them up. Here's a 10-year-old kid told me, that's just really fair. Pretty interesting. Now my baby here, Kyler, we're 42 years old. How many babies do you think in this country out of 100 have 2 parents at home every day, all day? I woke up with him this morning, went in there, and he was laying in his crib, and I fiddled around with him, and I pulled back this little blanket we put over the top of his crib so he sleeps longer because of the sunlight. As soon as the sun comes up, he's up, so I put this thing over it. I rolled it back. He's sideways at the top of the crib with everything tore up in the crib, and I pull it back, and he just goes. So I start my day out every day with a funniest thing you ever seen in your life, and then he poops. And my wife and I are with him all the time, so this company's given me more than I'll ever earn back from it. It's just given me my time, and the one commodity that's most precious is time. So I'm going to run you through some things today I think will really impact your business.